Hello, I am Christopher Hendron, and this is my Anatomy of a Scene. I will be working with Oisin Donaghy. We are currently studying editing cinematic arts at Oisin University, and today we will be talking about the Velociraptor kitchen scene from Jurassic Park 1993 by Steven Spielberg. After the electrical fence scene where Tim was injured, we see the two young characters Lex and Tim in the dining room eating. This scene is the calming before the storm of the famous Velociraptor scene. Both the characters and the audience believe they are safe and the worst of it is over, leading both the audience and the characters into a false sense of security. There is a use of shot reverse shot between the two characters as we watch them go from smiling and laughing to sudden fear. The audience's attention is focused on the green jelly as it has been placed in the center of the scene as we watch it shake. The audience follow the jelly up the way towards the terrified face on Lex, which piques the audience's interest into what has caused the sudden change in emotion. The next cut is to a close-up of Tim's face as the shadows slowly take over more and more of the background, making the audience question what is entering the right side of the frame, quickly focusing back onto an extreme close-up of Tim's face, making both the characters and the audience aware they are both in danger. This also means the audience don't know exactly what the shadowy figure was in the background on their first time viewing, as they didn't get enough time to figure it out. Tim and Lex enter the kitchen, dimming the lights, making the scene of an ominous and dark setting which helps create an eerie atmosphere, which pairs well with the use of no music at the beginning of the scene, as the audience can only hear the running of the two children, which placed as a long shot of the two characters running and hiding. This helps place the audience within the current scene as they get a full view of the kitchen while also being in the same view of the children, helping place them in the tower of the scene. The next shot is a close-up of the door window as the audience get a view of the snout of the raptor, making the audience question if it is a dinosaur they have seen before. The raptor continues to get closer to the door as the tension builds as the audience slowly gets to see more of the current threat until the audience get a clear look at the raptor. Then we cut to a scene of a close-up of Alan Grant reloading a gun and says,
"It's just the two raptors, right? You sure the third one's contained?"
Which gives the audience knowledge of the threat and they know not the children are in danger, which helps gives tension and the audience worries for the characters. Then when Ellie says,
"I must have figured out how to open doors,"
it breaks tension and adds comedic effect. The editor added this scene to give the audience information about the previous scene. The audience now know the danger not the children, as the editor decided to place the scene in, as it shows that even the professional adults are worried about the raptors. Next we get a hard cut that returns the audience back to the kitchen. There is a close-up of the door handle being opened by a raptor. This is the previous one that implied they couldn't open the door. However, the audience gets a clear close-up view of the raptor slowly opening the door, which shows how smart the raptors are, which helps build up more tension as the children become more in danger. As the door opens, the music slowly rises, peaking once the raptor have fully opened the door and enter the kitchen. We get an establishing shot of both the position of the raptors and the children, so the audience is aware of all the characters within the scene.
There is a long pause on the raptors. This helps give the audience a chance to finally be able to see the raptors and fully understand the threat after using shots that teased aspects of the raptors. The audience finally get a full view of the raptors. The editor chooses to use shots from the ground angled upwards towards the raptors, creating a clear power dynamic between the children being the prey and the raptors being the predators. As the camera moves around the scene with the use of slow cuts between the raptors and the kids as they are attempting to slowly move around the kitchen, building tension if Lex and Tim will get caught or not. During the slower sections of the scene, the music drones slowly, becoming more intense as the scene progresses. The music peaks when there are actions such as the kitchen equipment getting knocked over by the raptors, or when Tim knocks the spoons over by accident and gains the attention of one of the raptors. During this scene, besides the droning music, the only sounds that the audience hear is the raptor's breath and the children quickly moving around the kitchen. The audience also hears the sound of kitchen equipment being thrown around the room by both the raptors and the children as the scene progresses. The scene is also full of quiet whispering between Lex and Tim as they are scrambling for a way out. When the children finally get seen by the raptors, the music completely stops and goes silent, before peaking as the raptors aggress towards Tim and Lex, making the audience worry for their safety as they both fail to sneakily get away from the raptors. Once the raptors and children finally meet after a large amount of tension has been developed during the whole scene has kept the audience on the edge of their seats. The whole scene so far has used a lot of long takes that are matched with low cuts, which helps keep the audience invested in the scene and continue to increase tension. There is a sudden change in editing when the children are caught with a sudden rush between the characters as they begin to scramble with the camera following behind them. The whole thing, this puts the audience in the moment, and this feels like they are there with the characters trying to run from the raptors. With more cuts used, as it helps keep the audience on the edge of their seats as the scene is reaching its conclusion, the audience still need to be invested in what's going on. Once Tim and Lex are pushing the door against the raptor, the editor chooses to use a close-up shot of the two children and the raptor, which represents how close they got to the danger of the raptors and displays how life-threatening the situation was to the audience. In our conclusion, we believe this scene was able to create a tense atmosphere as the editor was able to use all the resources they had available to them, which range from the visuals through the creative camera work and the use of CGI or physical puppets for the raptors. The editor was able to use the clever use of lack of sound or music, unless it kept the audience invested and only using music at the peak of the scenes or the sound to keep the audience on their toes. The slow pacing of the scene with long pauses between the cuts with the children and the raptors cutting between each other, with sudden bursts of quick-paced editing in the conclusion of the scene, which included the fast-paced cuts that helped constantly keep the audience on the edge of their seats as the camera was always on the move and the shots were always changing in this short scene. We believe this helped create one of the most recognizable scenes in Jurassic Park and the whole of film. Thank you for watching.